Hello, good evening, everyone. So, welcome to day one of one short revision of microeconomics. हम क्या करेंगे, हर रोज कुछ 10-15 मिनट साथ में बैठ के हम लोग अपना माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स को जो भी सीयूईटी के लिए इम्पोर्टेंट है, और सिर्फ सीयूईटी ही नहीं, साउथ एशियन यूनिवर्सिटी, सीडीएस, गोखले, फर्ग्यूसन, इन सब यूनिवर्सिटीज के लिए जो भी इकोनॉमिक्स में माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स में इम्पोर्टेंट है, हम लोग बैठ के वो साथ में रिवाइज करेंगे. वी विल सिट टुगेदर एंड वी विल रिवाइज द माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स इन 10-15 मिनट्स. राइट, ठीक है. तो एकदम बेसिक से शुरू करेंगे. टू बिगिन विद, the first thing that I want to talk about today is called the marginal utility analysis. तो जब हम मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी एनालिसिस की बात करते हैं, दिस मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी एनालिसिस इट वाज फ्रेम्ड बाय मार्शल. ठीक है, ये इंपॉर्टेंट एक नाम है, हमें याद रखना है. एंड इट इज बेस्ड ऑन द अप्रोच ऑफ कार्डिनलिटी. तो दो अप्रोच होते हैं, एक को बोलते हैं हम कार्डिनल अप्रोच और एक को बोलते हैं हम ऑर्डिनल अप्रोच. कार्डिनल अप्रोच होता है जब हम नंबर्स देते हैं. जैसे अगर मैंने बोला कि individual A gets a utility of 20, individual B gets a utility of 30 and so on. तो जब हम नंबर्स देते हैं यूटिलिटी को, उसको बोलते हैं कार्डिनल अप्रोच. ये जो हम नंबर्स देते हैं यूटिलिटी को, ये नंबर्स दिए जाते हैं इन टर्म्स ऑफ यूटिल्स. 20 यूटिल्स मिला, 30 यूटिल्स यूटिलिटी मिला, कितना यूटिलिटी मिला, उसको हम कार्डिनलिटी अप्रोच बोलते हैं. इसके अगेंस्ट जो हमारे पास एक अप्रोच आती है, उसको बोलते हैं हम ऑर्डिनलिटी अप्रोच. ऑर्डिनल का मतलब होता है रैंकिंग. तो ऑर्डिनलिटी अप्रोच ये कहती है दैट वी आर नॉट कंसर्न्ड विद कितना यूटिल्स मिल रहा है. आई एम नॉट कंसर्न्ड कि ए को 20 मिला और बी को 30 मिला. आई एम जस्ट कंसर्न्ड दैट व्हाट इज द रैंकिंग. सो यू नो, जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर मैं आपको ये बोल दूं कि मेरे पास दो गुड्स हैं, एप्पल एंड बनानास, then I am not concerned whether apple gives me 20 and banana gives me 30 or apple gives me 100 and banana gives me 1000. इससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि यूटिलिटी कितनी मिल रही है. किस चीज से फर्क पड़ता है? इस चीज से फर्क पड़ता है कि कौन ज्यादा यूटिलिटी दे रहा है. Which bundle is giving me more utility? That is what is important. So in both cases, whether I am talking about this or this, I know that utility from banana is more than utility from apple. Utility from banana is more than utility from apple. So banana is preferred over apple. बस कहानी खत्म. ठीक है, तो इसमें हमें सिर्फ इतना इंटरेस्ट है that bananas are preferred over apple. Ranking की जहां बात होती है, we talk about ordinality approach. Ranking. और जहां पे हम numbers देते हैं, we talk about the cardinality approach. I hope this is clear to you. Okay, move forward now. इसके बाद हमारे पास आती हैं बेसिक. मैं थोड़ा तेज चलूंगी क्योंकि हम रिवाइज कर रहे हैं assumptions of marginal utility. ये सब हम अपने बेसिक माइक्रो में पढ़ चुके हैं. We are just revising this. So we will go a little fast, right? Every 10-15, every day 10-15 minutes, we have to be fast and revise maximum. Acha, so now let's talk about basic assumptions of marginal utility analysis. The first assumption is rationality. इंडिविजुअल रैशनल ह्यूमन बीइंग है. रैशनल मतलब कि उसको अपनी यूटिलिटी को मैक्सिमम करना है. हर इंडिविजुअल को अपनी यूटिलिटी को मैक्सिमम करना है, इसको रैशनैलिटी बोलते हैं. सेकंड, कार्डिनल यूटिलिटी. इस एनालिसिस में जब हम मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी निकालते हैं, हम पूछते हैं व्हाट इज मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी, हाउ टोटल यूटिलिटी चेंजेस एज माय कंजम्पशन चेंजेस. तो ये तो नंबर में आती है ना, तो इट इज अ कार्डिनल कॉन्सेप्ट. तो जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल, I was consuming 10 units of apple and I was getting 100 utils. I consumed 11 units of apple and I got 120 utils. So what is the change in utility beta? 20. What is the change in units? 1. तो marginal utility क्या हो गई? 20 divided by 1, which is 20. ये marginal utility हो गई. तो ये utils में है. This is, I am telling the utility in terms of utils. So it becomes a cardinal utility concept. Is this clear? Okay. Come to the third point. Third point आ जाता है constant मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी ऑफ मनी। ये भी एक एजम्पशन है। हम एज्यूम करते हैं कि मनी जो है वो एट एनी पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम कांस्टेंट यूटिलिटी देता है। सो MUM, every time you increase money, the additional utility I get is assumed to be constant. Fourth, diminishing marginal utility. इसके लिए बहुत अच्छा एग्जाम्पल है। देखो एक बारी समझो, ये वाला एग्जाम्पल मेरे क्लास 11th-12th की फैकल्टी यूज्ड टू गिव अस, दैट just think about this. As supposedly I go to a golgappa wala. I know different regions call differently. कोई आप में से पुचका बोलता है, some of you call that as pani puri, some of you call that as golgappa. So we go to that golgappa wala and we want to eat these golgappas, right? So what we can do is, the first golgappa, delicious, it gives me 100 utils. Second golgappa that I have, it's very nice, it tastes the same, but the utility, additional utility I get is only 80. From the third one, the additional utility I get is only 40. From the fourth one, the additional I get is 20. From the fifth one, I don't get any additional utility. I'm saturated. हो गया मेरा saturation, 5 से ऊपर नहीं खा सकते. I cannot have more than 5. The moment you take me to the sixth one, I may even vomit. I don't want to eat that. So I have a diminishing marginal utility. Marginal utility diminishing होती है. अच्छा, exam में a lot of times they will ask you question, they will give you a utility function. And they will ask you, is this utility function, does this utility function have diminishing marginal utility? क्या इस utility function का diminishing marginal utility है? Does this utility function have diminishing marginal utility? ऐसा क्वेश्चन पूछेंगे। क्या करना है? First, find marginal utility. बेटा marginal utility क्या है? How utility changes as x changes. तो divide, differentiate कर देते हैं। This is your marginal utility from x. How utility changes as x changes is marginal utility from x. Then whether this is diminishing or not, इसको check करने के लिए इसको फिर से differentiate कर दो x से। अगर ये less than 0 आए तो diminishing. If this is less than 0, diminishing. If this is equal to 0, constant. If this is greater than 0, increasing. So in this case, if I differentiate this again with respect to x, just differentiate this again with respect to x, you will get power comes down, base is reduced by half. This will be del MUX by del x. So this will be minus 0.25, x to the power minus 1.5, y to the power 0.5, which is negative. That means it is diminishing. This will definitely come in exam. Definitely. Okay, now come to the fifth assumption. Utilities are independent. Independent मतलब क्या है? That utility I get from x does not depend on utility I get from y. I am assuming that utilities are independent. इसका एक बहुत अच्छा implication है. अब अगर utility from x does not depend on utility from y, it's not a function of y, and utility from y is not a function of x, ये एकदम independent है एक दूसरे से. मेरे को बाइक से कितनी यूटिलिटी मिलती है उसका इससे कोई रिलेशन नहीं है कि मुझे एप्पल से कितनी मिल रही है. ये एक assumption है इस मॉडल का. कभी कभी यूटिलिटीज आर डिपेंडेंट. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल, व्हेन आई कंज्यूम कोल्ड ड्रिंक विथ पिज्जा हट पिज्जा, इट गिव्स मी मोर यूटिलिटी. तो मेरी कोल्ड ड्रिंक की यूटिलिटी पिज्जा के साथ ज्यादा है देन हैविंग इट अलोन. दे आर डिपेंडेंट ऑन ईच अदर, बट ओनली as this model, only as part of this model, आई एम सेइंग दैट यूटिलिटी इज इंडिपेंडेंट ऑफ ईच अदर. ठीक है, इसकी implication ये है, this implies that we have additive utility. मतलब मेरी जो टोटल यूटिलिटी होगी वो यूटिलिटी फ्रॉम x प्लस यूटिलिटी फ्रॉम y प्लस यूटिलिटी फ्रॉम z एंड सो ऑन. हर कमोडिटी की यूटिलिटी को ऐड कर दो, जस्ट ऐड द यूटिलिटीज टुगेदर एंड आई विल गेट माय टोटल यूटिलिटी. इज दिस क्लियर? ओके, now let's come to the relation between total utility and marginal utility. इसके हम relation की बात करेंगे अब, total utility and marginal utility. तो बेटा very simple. This is my total utility function. Total utility increases at decreasing rate. Please लिखो, increases at decreasing rate. Total utility increases at decreasing rate. बढ़ तो रही है but decreasing rate पे. ठीक है, big why, क्यों हो रहा है सब? Because the slope of total utility is marginal utility and marginal utility is diminishing. Give me a minute please. Okay, so the slope of total utility, that is marginal utility, and this marginal utility is diminishing. So marginal utility is diminishing. When total utility is maximum, marginal utility will be 0. When total utility is maximum, marginal utility will be 0. बस इतना ही relation है. You just have to remember this much. Okay. Now come to the law of diminishing marginal utility. ये law मैं already समझा चुकी हूँ. I am not going to go ahead into it, but I want to give some names. Sorry, beta. So please write down. Hermann Heinrich Gaussian. He was the first to formulate this. कब हुआ था formulate? 1854 में. He was the first to formulate it 1854 में. Is this clear? Name marginal utility. ये name was given by Marshall. But first to formulate was Hermann Heinrich Gaussian. Okay. Then there was another economist called Jevons. He was the person who called this as Gaussian's first law. So यही diminishing marginal utility को, this diminishing marginal utility concept by Jevons, it was known as the Gaussian's first law. Clear? Marshall इसको थोड़ा formalize कर दिया. He formalized it. He gave it a better meaning, right? So when we talk about Marshall, he stated the law in a better way. And what way did he state it? Please write down. He said the additional benefit which a person derives from a given increase of his stock of a thing diminishes with every increase in the stock that he already has. ठीक है जी, ये मार्शल ने एग्जैक्ट वर्डिंग्स में बोला था. अच्छा, एक और पॉइंट है, ये जो हमारा जहां पे टोटल यूटिलिटी मैक्सिमम है, रिमेंबर मैंने बोला था कि गोलगप्पा खाते हुए वी गेट अ सैचुरेशन. this point, when TU is max and when at the same time MU is 0, this point is called the saturation point. So when TU is max and MU is 0, it is called the saturation point. Last cheez hum ek bari zara, I always minimize the screen. I don't know how. At least once in my session. Okay. तो अब हम फाइनल बात करेंगे इसकी लिमिटेशंस इस मॉडल की. सो लिमिटेशन नंबर 1, ये पूरी कॉन्सेप्ट जो है, दिस एंटायर कॉन्सेप्ट टॉक्स अबाउट कंटिन्यूटी इन कंजम्पशन. What is continuity in consumption? Achha, imagine that today I went and I just had one piece of golgappa. And then the next piece I had tomorrow in period T+1. And the third piece I had in period T+2. Then this law will not hold, na? ये तो continuous पे depend करता है. It depends that you're consuming the commodity continuously, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is that there should be no change in taste, habit, custom, etc. of the consumer. What if, just for example, take this. It's an extreme example, but just imagine. This, for example, let's say that we celebrate a festival, let's say Diwali. Diwali pe we light diyas, right? But supposedly someone automatically launches a custom that on Diwali, every family is supposed to go ahead and purchase a certain thing. So let's say every family has to go ahead and purchase a particular sweet and they have to celebrate it with that. It became a custom. The moment you bring something into a custom, then people will purchase it out of that custom. So we assume there is no change in taste, habit, custom, etc. of the consumer. Third, all units weigh the same and are of the same quality. As diminishing marginal utility alag baat hai, but aisa nahi hona chahiye that the first unit is something else and second is something else. Aisa na ho. So imagine this. I'll give you again an example. You may think I'm such a foodie, but just imagine this, huh? Imagine the same golgappas, but have you seen those golgappas which come with 5 different waters? Jaljeera pani, hing water, and then other. Now, when you taste each one from one, the quality is different, yaar. You're not tasting the same thing. The product becomes different, right? All 5 of them have different taste. One is imli water, one is jaljeera water, and so on and so forth. Then I cannot apply this law there. That would be wrong. Okay. Fourth one, unit of commodity should be of suitable size. Let me give you an example of this. Imagine I'm very thirsty, right? I ask the waiter, I go to a restaurant, I ask the waiter to serve me water. And that person, he gets the water in a spoon. They have this tradition of serving it in a small spoon, suppose something like this. Will your thirst go away? No. Then every spoon of water will increase your utility, not decrease. So when I talk about consuming the first unit, it should be of a suitable size. If it is not of a suitable size, तो गलत बात है. It has to be of a suitable size. एक size का होना चाहिए. Fifth, price of different units and of substitutes should remain the same. तो जो अलग अलग यूनिट्स हैं उनके प्राइस सेम होने चाहिए. ऐसा ना हो You're telling me that the first glass of water is 10 rupees, but the second is 20 and the third is 30. तो नहीं चलेगा. It should be of the same price. Then I will have diminishing marginal utility. So this is the first concept that I wanted to discuss. This concept talks about the concept of utilities, marginal utility, total utility, and some of the limitations of this model. Okay, thank you.